When you're dying, when you're in a swimming pool and you're drowning, you don't tell the person that what's going to be your goal 5 years from now. Right? Here is the vest, pick it up, come to the shore, and that's it. For that, like, you give as simple instructions as possible.
Let's get started. That's a great place to start. Guys, welcome back to the Valuation Family Podcast. I have the one and only Uzair Moosa, CEO at Swapp, an expert and a passion with scaling and transforming businesses, growth, turnaround, and strategy. He's transformational executive with a track record of turning loss-making businesses into profitable, high growth ventures across IT, aviation, mobility, fintech, and sustainability. His passion and experience in scaling operations, driving revenue growth, and building high performance team in fast paced competitive markets. He's been recognized for launching Kareem in Saudi Arabia and now also growing Swapp, which you could see right behind you in the UAE, and optimizing operations at Flyness and Bright, which we talked about here in Australia. He combines his strategic vision with operational execution to create market-leading sustainable businesses and foster high-impact partnerships. Thank you so much for coming on the show with such experience, such passion, and such dedication in building businesses. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, and thank you for the wonderful introduction.
No worries at all. So can you take us a little bit all the way back? Where did this passion come from? Where did this passion in business to be able to solve problems and, scale?
So I come from a business family, right? And I've only seen businesses as I've grown up. And so, like, I remember, like, my earliest memory is that when we were kids during the summer vacations, we used to be sent to offices of our families, right? Like, so I would spend time with my uncles and all, and we would really look forward for these experiences, because for us it was not about learning about the experiences, but it was just to get to spend time with our cousins, right? And so most of the time we would be fooling around and being kids, right? But at the same time, I think there were some lessons that we unconsciously learned, right, during those times, right? So when you're part of business families, what you see is, you see ups and you see downs. And during these ups and downs, as humans, you could sort of see emotions go up and down. And that's something that you observe quite a lot as part of these experiences, right? Sometimes there are sayings which the elders of the family would be discussing that just stick with you. And you don't realize it at that time, but some of these things, like, play out in real life when you're in those situations. So I think that was basically what built that love and passion for building businesses, solving problems, and most importantly, to staying the path, right? Because businesses are not constant. You've got ups and you've got downs, and you just need to figure out how you're going to survive the downs and ride the wave of ups.
Marketing is all about storytelling. Dad, when we first started this business, what did you say to me?
I said, yes, we do a podcast
Why?
because I want to tell our story.
Why?
Because I know the story builds a legacy.
Build a legacy. And that is exactly what we do here at ETS Rubasha Media. We market your story on social media so you could build a legacy for those who come after you, to build your business and your personal brand.
Yeah, follow us on our platform. Go on our website, etsrubashamedia.com.
This is about legacy, and it is about showing up on social media every single day, because if you don't show up, your competition will. Okay, so let's take it a little bit back. When you say business within the family, can you experience what you saw from a young age of business within the family?
So I can sort of share some experiences, right? Like, one of my experiences which I really remember was I was working at my uncle's shop. He had a textile shop, and they dealt with suiting for ladies, right? And I was very keen. So I think I was 11 or 12 at that point in time. Customers were coming in, and I was picking out different sorts of suitings and showing them to the customers, right? And I was very happy that I'm doing a good job. And at the end of the day, when the customers left, I had a lot of clothing in front of me, right, which I had to then pack. And so my uncle came to me and he's like, you need to make your job easier as well. You need to start leading your customers in terms of figuring out what are their choices. And if you can do that, you'll be able to close a sale without taking out so much merchandise from the shop. So really try and read your customer, try and figure out what choices they really like, they really appreciate, and that would help you close the sale much better. Most importantly, create less work for you at the back end, which would mean that you would be able to. So really, really small lesson, right? Like very friendly, just casually mentioned that. And that's something which was quite deep, right? If you think about it, right? That if I look at what I'm doing at Swap, right, it's the same thing, right? Like really understand what the customer wants, really figuring out how do we surface up those choices for the customers. And obviously, at that point in time, I was doing it completely offline. Right now, we're trying to do it completely online with AI and all in the play, right? Like really trying to figure out based on customers' past behavior in terms of what choices we can surface up, which would result in higher conversion rate. So it's all about like the terminology has changed, the way to do it has changed, but at the core of it, it's still having those customer experiences in mind.
Customer experiences in mind. I think that's the big major word here. Sometimes people forget you're so busy with running the business, you forget the essence of what it's for, the customer. So, can you talk to us about the business model of Swap? What is Swap for someone who's just come in here and doesn't know what you're talking about? What is Swap and what's the business model?
So Swap is a car subscription platform. You can think of it as Netflix, but for cars, right? So you choose the car you want, when you want, and you drive it for as long as you want. So it's an alternative to car ownership. You come onto our app, you select the car that you want, you choose it, we deliver the car to your doorstep, you drive it for as long as you want, and then let's say that you want to upgrade, downgrade, we allow that. So you can swap your car. And once you're done, you let us know, we come and pick up the car from wherever you want, and you're done. And you only pay for the days that you've used the car for, right? So very, very simple. It's all inclusive in terms of maintenance, in terms of insurance, in terms of if anything goes wrong, we replace the car. In terms of like accidents, we provide free replacements. So all of that is taken care of. It's one price. You see it up front, you pay for it, and you pay as you go.
That's very interesting. So that sounds, is it a B2C, B2B? Is that now both combined market?
So we do both, right? We do B to B2C, we do B to C, and then we do B2B as well, right? So it's a mix of both. It's a mix of all three models that we look at. And yeah, like I think it's playing out really really well. I think the product market fit has been really good. We're seeing really high growth in terms of customers really appreciating this product as an alternative and alternative to car ownership, and most importantly, providing them the flexibility that they need, right? So the way we position it is that it's a car for every season. You drive the car you want. Right now, it's
Mm.
winter here in Dubai. You want to go out in a convertible, you do that. During the summer months, you need a bigger car which has got stronger ACs, your family is visiting you, you go and upgrade to a bigger car. So we provide that flexibility to customers, which they really appreciate.
It's interesting because, the other day I was speaking to one of my clients who lives in Dubai, and then I said to him, I'm thinking about moving to Dubai, and seeing what it's like. And then he said to me, Sujira, it's not like Australia where the public transport is so good. In Dubai, you need a car. And then he said, like you can rent a car, so it's just so interesting. And said, okay, so now with what you do, that's something like, let's say I'm moving to Dubai, and it's like maybe instead of stuck with being one car forever, exactly, I can have different cars. So on the B2B side, what do businesses come to hire you for, or to hire the cars for?
So it's for the fleet. For example, right, like it's last mile delivery. They want to go through multiple iterations of cars. We come in terms of like providing them a solution for all of their fleet, right? Like we are essentially providing them all of that with a single click of a button. They get the car they want. They keep it for as long as they want. And once again, they've got flexibility as well, right? Like that, they don't like. So I think like let's take a step back. Right? Why are people sort of like so interested in us? It's because we don't offer any deposits as well, right? Like so, you can get the car without any deposits, right? So if you look at the alternatives, right? Like if you're buying a car, then it's a depreciating asset, right? Like and you're financing, you've got financing cost and all, and then on top of it, any maintenance, replacements, all of that you have to borrow, any registrations you have to bear, right? Like so, all of that piece of the puzzle we take out. So for these fleets specifically, right? Like, and once again, if you're starting a business, you want that money to go into the core of the business rather than in management of fleet in terms of figuring out, okay, what car, like, okay, now I've got more cars, now I've got less cars. So that's the other thing that we provide, right? By coming to us, they can scale up, scale down, change their cars whenever they want.
Wow. And so it's very interesting within your career, you've had an eye and attention to detail when it comes to scaling. But when it talks with Swap, what's been the biggest challenge? What has been the hardest thing that you had to experience being the CEO of the company and doing what you're doing?
So when I came to the business, we were not profitable at all. We were actually struggling quite a lot financially. Our unit economics were not making sense. We were really struggling in terms of keeping up to pace in terms of payments to our suppliers and all. And so it was a position whereby the company was facing bankruptcy, right? And so at that point in time, to come around as a new CEO, to gain the trust of investors, to gain the trust of the existing colleagues that we were working with, to gain the trust of suppliers, and then basically, like at that point in time, when I came in, right, I was just selling a vision. There was no reality to that vision, right? To come in, to sell that vision, to execute on that vision, to making that a reality, and turning around the business successfully, so that now, like, we've had a profitable second half of this year, right? So 2025 is still left with December, but when we look at the projection, second half is already profitable. So it's been like a very, very successful turnaround. So I think the hardest thing in turnarounds is getting back the trust of investors, right? Like, I think with humans, it's not like a switch on and off, right? Like, if you lose that trust, right, like, to gain back that trust, there's no switch that you can turn on and the trust is back on, right? You really need to build that trust, earn that trust, deliver on wins whereby they believe you, they see the results, and then they support you, right? So I think from that perspective, that was probably the hardest thing to do in terms of coming in at a business which was not doing so well, and then turning it around from there.
So what did you do? What were the issues that you saw, and why was it not profitable? What was happening, and then what did you see to say, okay, that's what needs to happen? And then now, how did you continue now to gain the trust of the investors?
So I think one of the things, and this was the thing which I really, really liked about the business, is that from day one there was product market fit, right? So the issue was not that we did not have a market. The issue was we needed to sort of fix the unit economics. We needed to motivate the team. We needed to focus on the right priorities and all. And one of the things which we did see was that, and this is a good problem to have, but of course, like, this was something which was creating lots of challenges. It was an existential threat to us that we scaled so fast that our operational processes were breaking, right? Which resulted in extremely bad customer experiences, which resulted in customers starting to leave us, right? Which sort of creates like this downward spiral, right? That is really, really get hard, very, very, very hard to get out of, right? So try to keep things simple. You know what? The first thing that we need to fix is customer experience. How do we go about doing that, right? What are the three key critical things that we need to deliver for the customer experience to gain back their trust, right? Like, so that's the first trust that you need to win, customers' trust, right? And so what we realized was that the first thing that they wanted. So one of the things we claim was that we're delivering cars to customers rather than them coming to us and picking up the car. We're delivering the cars to them. Now, we were not able to deliver on that promise, right? We were not able to live up to the time that we were committing to, right? So that was the first thing, that how do we create transparency around ensuring that customers get the car when they're expecting the car to be there, right? So that was the first thing. Second thing was creating transparency around charges that the customers were getting, right? Like, so Dubai, it really focuses on safe driving. So there are a lot of cameras. If you speed, you get a fine immediately. It's all automated. And so a lot of new people who are coming to Dubai struggle with that, right? So how do we create that transparency so that customers can sort of see that transparency in terms of where the toll charges are, where the fines are, and all of that, to make it very, very visible for them, so that there's trust of the brand. And then the third thing was, when things go wrong, and things always go wrong, how do we support them? How quick can we respond back to them to turn around things, right? So those were the three things that we focused on from a customer experience perspective. So that was one. Once you do that, you start getting growth, right? You start getting customers. So you fix that problem. Second thing we focused on was that now the customers are coming back in. How do we ensure that we are providing a sustainable product? So what do we do from a margin perspective, right? How can we optimize our pricing whereby we're still competitive in terms of customer pricing, but can sort of sustain our businesses? So really focused on the optimization of our pricing and all, to ensure that we can leverage on that. And third thing, which is cost cutting, right? So how do we create that culture of discipline, right, whereby we invest in things which make a difference and cut back on things which we can avoid at this stage? And how can we make our process and systems more efficient, whereby our costs are significantly optimized, right? So those were the three things that we did. Now, these are things which I'm sort of laying out very easily, right? But it took us quite a few months to start delivering on all of them, right? We did not go after them all in once. We started off with the customer experience, then focused on margins, then focused on cost optimizations and all.
Wow, wow, very, very, very interesting on how you turned it around. Even I was talking to a founder today, and he talked about what happened with Netflix and Blockbuster, and what you just said. Whereas instead of so before they had to go in and pick up the cars, and then so you came and said, okay, let's go in and deliver the cars to them.
Yes, exactly. Right. Like, so
Was
the car comes to your doorstep, and once again, there's flexibility, right? Like, we know that, let's say that you want the car to be delivered at your home, but you want the car to be picked up from your office. We don't charge anything extra for that, right? We accommodate in terms of flexibility, right? You choose where you want the car to be delivered. You tell us where you want the car to be picked up from, and we accommodate all of that. Once again, we understood that a pain point for customers is that they don't want money to be stuck in deposits, right? Which only gets refunded after 21 days or after 30 days, right? We're like, we don't charge you any deposits, right? There's a trust system. We'll treat you well. Of course, we do go through a KYC process and all, but like once you've passed the KYC process, we don't ask deposits for our customers, right? So that is a really, really unlocking of growth level for our customers.
so if I come from Australia, I can come in, get Swap, download the app, and then boom, I'm good to go.
Good to go, right? Like, we deliver the car within the same day. So you come in, you book a car within 4 to 5 hours, you'll get your car at your hotel, right? Like, that's it, you're done. And you drive for as long as you want. If you want to swap during the journey, you can swap as well. If you want to keep the same car, you can keep the same car as well. And so, yeah, that's how it functions.
I think I may have to become a customer when I arrive. So let me ask you, within your experience, because you said something, and some businesses can suffer from this, is scaling too quickly, right? Like, which is sometimes you would think, oh, that's a good problem to have, but we've seen businesses go down and die because they scale too quickly. So how does one that prevent that from happening? And again, what were some of the strategies that you applied where you said, okay, this, you saw was happening, the customer satisfaction to now, turn it around? And is it better that a company maybe goes through those dark moments or goes through sustainable, growth?
Yes, I completely agree with this, right? So one of the most important thing for founders to act on is what are things that they're not going to do, not on things that they're going to do, right? So you have to make a list of things that we're not going to do. So we did cut back a lot of things, right? So we had multiple things going on at the point in time when I joined the company. We're trying to expand regionally as well, right? So we had launched a big market at that point in time. And when I came in, right, like, this is something whereby all the investors got upset. The original founders of the company got upset. But I'm like, look, we have to close this market right now because we can't afford it. They're like, no, this is such a big market. We've just cracked it. We've just gotten a license. The opportunity is huge. I'm like, yes, I understand. But do we have the funds to support this? Right, and that's basically and do we have the funds and resources to support this at this stage, right? Either we risk losing all of the company, or we have to make this tough decision of closing this market for now. There's always going to be tomorrow, right? We can always go back and launch that, but for now, in terms of focus, we need to come back, retreat, fix what's going on here, and then basically scale the experiences. Even in terms of product, right? Like, there were basic things which were missing, which we had to prioritize, right? And we were trying to do things which were and so once again, like, you decide on what are non-negotiables, what are must-haves, and what are basically luxury, right? And then you absolutely need to cut out luxuries. And with must-haves, you only go to them once the non-negotiables are done, right? And you need to be very brutal in terms of this cut, right? When you're in a situation like this, when you don't have enough funds to survive, right? Like, it's a matter of survival. And I think that denial is something which a lot of companies go through, right? That, yeah, we're going to manage it, right? Like, we're growing but look at the revenue growth, right? We're growing so fast. Yes, but at a negative unit economics, the more you grow, the more losses you incur, right? Like, it's not a good strategy at all, right? Like, unless you have unlimited funding, then sure, go for it, right? But if that's not the case, then you really need to cut down, come back to core, figure out what you're not going to do as a business, what's going to be your focus. And this is like a really, really key advice for everyone. As a business, at max, you can deliver three core things, right? Like, that's basically the capacity of humans. I would say that if you tell them that, look, we're going to do these three things, they're going to do and deliver them really well. I would say that if you can focus on one, that's even better. But like, no more than three, right? 1 to 3 things that you completely focus on, align the organization on. It's very easy for the organization to then reiterate. Okay, you ask them what are these 3 priorities, they can reiterate them, right? If you say that, oh, we have these 10 priorities, it becomes very hard. The message becomes confusing. It's hard for everyone to be aligned and rallied around it as well, right? And so you have to be extremely brutal when it comes down to your focus.
And when you say three things to focus on, what type of length period would you give it? Are you say, okay, these are the three things we're focused on in this quarter, 6 months, 12? Like, what would you say? Or is it a case to case basis?
I think it's a case to case basis. So when we came on first, it was a matter of urgency, right? At that point in time, we wanted to have a very short attention span for everyone in the company, including myself, right? So at that point in time, we were sort of thinking in quarters, right? For the next 3 months, that's what I'm going to focus on, and that's it, right? Like so that you're delivering results. It's very hard for people to visualize something which is really far away from them, right? So these longer term visions are really good to inspire people and sort of paint them the long picture in terms of what the business is going to look like 5 years down, 10 years down. But when you're dying, right, when you're in a swimming pool and you're drowning, you don't tell the person that what's going to be your goal 5 years from now, right? Like, here is the vest, pick it up, come to the shore, and that's it, right? Like, and so for that, like, you give as simple instructions as possible. You don't think about, oh, you know what, in the next 5 years we're going to become this, right? So at that point in time, it was just 3 months, right? Right now, 2 years into the picture, we've had our offsite, and we are in 1 year planning mode now, right? So at least we've sort of improved from 3 months to 1 year, right? Next year, when we're in a much better position, then hopefully we can start painting out the picture for. So I'm not saying not have that picture of 3 to 5 years, but in terms of aligning the forces, rallying the forces, the shorter duration that you have, the easier it is for your team to visualize that success, right? And it's easier for you to sort of visualize failure as well, right? Because yes, you need to succeed, but like, if there are things that are not working, right, you can immediately correct that rather than waiting for that longer term period, right? So I think it's a luxury. If you have the luxury of time, then of course plan for longer periods. But when you're in survival mode, then I would say even 3 months is too long, right? You would need to start thinking of like weeks as well, right? Like that, okay, next week, what are the deliverables? What needs to happen? What have we done? Okay, you know what, this experiment is not working. Let's scale it right now rather than wait for another month for it, right? Like, so the decision making needs to be very different in different situations of the business.
So you've had a great year. So yes, what is now the vision for the company? Meaning, what's happening on the client acquisition side? Are you guys expanding in the UAE? Are you continuing to dominate the market there and continue to dominate and scale there to the surrounding areas? What's the vision on the client acquisition side? How are you guys now attracting more and more customers?
So our focus would be to double down in UAE as a whole, right? So our presence in Dubai is the strongest right now. We've got presence in Abu Dhabi, Sharjah Lane, but the plan in 2026 is that let's double down. Let's double down in Dubai, but let's also double down in the surrounding areas that are low hanging fruits for us, right? Then what also happens is that when you're in a market long enough, right, like customers start telling you in terms of what are the next kind of services they need, right? So we are looking at sort of next service lines as well, right? What are the next products that we can launch for our customers? And that to me is something that we're looking at for 2026 before sort of expanding regionally and all, right? So right now, at least for 2026, the bigger focus would be to doubling down in UAE, expanding more service lines over here, and then perhaps experimenting with the regional expansion and all as well.
And could a product like this work here for you? Lived in Australia. I'm trying to think. Do we have something like this? I see sometimes. I was talking to a founder today from America, and he was saying how, for example, Hertz, the car rental company, Hertz and Avis, they were slow. Bigger companies, they're slow to adapt. And then these rental car companies that you could just come in, tap your phone in there, take them. Da, da, they had to go in later and buy those companies for about 7 billion because they didn't adapt. So can a product like this now be in America? Can it be in Australia? Outside of now the UAE. What are your thoughts on that?
So yes, in fact, my inspiration was from a company in Australia, right? Like which was doing a similar thing. It's called Carmo. In fact, one of my friends is a chief operating officer over there. So we were colleagues back in HeyU, and so I took some inspiration from him. I asked him a lot of questions when I was joining this industry. What are your thoughts on it? Now the product is the same, but in terms of the customers, completely different. The way they're building the business model is very different, right? Like, so use cases in Australia are very different, right? Like, so you need to adopt the product according to the local needs of the market. But at the core, right, it's a similar product whereby it's a subscription product. You subscribe to a car. Of course, cost of labor and the logistics is very different in Australia. So to deliver cars is probably harder over there. Other aspects of it are definitely like sort of like replicable.
Very, very, very interesting. Yeah, because yeah, as I said, I can understand how it's such product market fit. So let's transition a little bit to leadership, right? Because a CEO cannot be a great CEO without a fantastic team. One thing that you did coming into Swap was kind of look in at the team and say, okay, how can we improve things as a team? How can we get this in the productivity and everything up? How did you do that? How does one come into a situation and do that? Is it a matter of hiring? Is it a matter of getting rid of people? How do you see things as a leader to have everyone aligned in on the vision and everyone working, with smooth operations?
Yeah, I think that's basically the measure of success, right? Like if you hire the right team, then you'll be successful. If you don't get the right team on board, then you would not be successful, right? And so you have to have honest questions, right? The first thing that you need to do is what are the priorities of the business? What do we need right now? What's the 3 month plan? What's a 6 month plan? What's a 9 month plan? And then basically you look at, okay, who are the people that we have? What are their skills, right? What are they adding to the team? What are they adding to our vision, the 3 month, 6 month, 9 month vision, right? And the honest answer would be that there would be some people who would be really, really good, but they would not make the cut in terms of what's needed, right? Like for the future. And you would have to have those honest conversations as early as possible, right? Not to keep them hanging. So that's really, really important. Second thing is you need to identify what are the missing skill set within the organization right now, and how you're going to bring those people within the organization, right? And so one of the things we try and do, like, and this is what we did as well, right? Like I think what they say is that hire slow, fire fast. And the reason for that is when you're hiring, you need to create a process whereby. So I was reading up on this, right, and it resonated really well with me, right? The number of people that you meet versus you convert needs to be really high because you're investing time, which basically means that you need to have processes to ensure that you're filtering the right candidates to the top. And then basically, once those candidates come in, you need to have multiple people in the room as well to have an opportunity to talk to those people to ensure that we're getting like a wide variety of opinions within the company to make it like a more complete decision. So you invest a lot in terms of that hiring process upfront and ensure that you, like I sort of say that you create friction so that only people who are really motivated apply, and you ensure that you're sort of designing that process in a way whereby you're testing the right skill set which are as close to real life as possible, right? So one of the things we do is we have an assessment form upfront, right, just to test out filter out candidates. Like right now there's a tendency that you just do easy apply, and like you post a position and suddenly you've got 2000 applicants, right? So one of the things we do is we introduce like an application assessment form, and the whole reason of that is to filter out people who are just clicking on apply now, right? Like we're creating some friction to ensure that we are reducing the funnel right over there, right, and creating some friction. Then what we do is we have a conversation, 1 hour, 30-minute conversation, whereby it's us selling the vision to the person who's coming on board, right? Like, look, this is what we're doing, just to ensure if they're interested and excite them, right? That this is what we're going to do. Then the third step is we do a case study. Now that case study is real life problems that we're experiencing as a business and which are very, very relevant to the person that we're hiring. And we throw that problem at that person to, one, give them an opportunity to understand how they would react to such a situation, right, like in real life. And then on the opposite side, it also gives us a really, really good feel of how things are going to be when we are going to be working this person. And in that case study we introduce multiple people, and after the case study is done, we ask two questions, like, and the first question we ask is that why should we not hire this person? So instead of why we should hire this person, we flip the question and we ask, why should we not hire this person? And what's the reason for us asking that question, right? Like the reason why we ask that question is because every time all of us are going through it and there are red flags we identify, if all of us are identifying the same red flag, that's basically a cause of concern, right? Like whatever red flags you identify during the interview process, that's going to be amplified when the person joins us. So you'll be actually doing that person a favor of not offering if all of you feel that the red flags are the same. And then basically we go ahead with the offer. And then, as I said, right, like the first 30 to 90 days are really critical. That's basically when you get like a real feel. And I think you need to make your decision during that time, both parties, right? Like, so as I said, right, like I believe in, like, if it's not working out, you're doing the person a favor by not wasting their time, right, and letting them know upfront. So you have to have these honest conversations. Now you have to do it very empathetically because there's a human at the other end, right? Like, so you need to be very empathetic, as supportive as possible. But you need to have those conversations. You can't avoid those conversations, right? Like, if you're kicking the can down the road, you're going to surface up these issues much later on, which would mean that person would suffer more, you would suffer more, the whole organization would suffer a lot more, right? So you have to have that bar really, really high. And so, yeah, I think really happy with what we have as a team at Swap, right? Extremely strong, resilient people. We've been through a lot. We got people at a time when we did not know if we would execute on our vision and mission, but we got people who were excited, who believed in it, and we wanted to make this happen, knowing well that there is a chance of failure as well, right? Like, there is a possibility that we would not succeed and we would fail. So having that open conversation upfront, the kind of talent you attract is very different as well, right? So yeah, we were quite lucky uh, to get people who are really motivated, very resilient, and are, to be honest, like the real reason of the success at Swap.
That recruiting process is really, really fascinating to me. I love it in terms of creating the point of friction, and especially now with ChatGPT and people using AI, just copying and pasting rubbish, and they don't even, So at least having the start to be a little bit complicated, you will filter out who is going to put in the dedication and the effort to absolutely go through everything. That's the type of people that you want from the get go. So I really love that. I want to play a game, and what I'm going to do is I'll give you a word, and then whatever comes to your mind, first thing comes to your mind, you say it, okay?
Okay, all right.
And then I can get you to explain. Oh, CEO,
Leadership.
explain.
I think as CEO, you need to be a leader in good times and bad times, right? And I think as CEO, your most important thing is just leading the company. And when I say leadership, it's to leadership encompasses a lot of things, right? Like, your job is just to set the strategy, set the culture, and to lead the company, right? Like, your job is not to actually do the work, right? You need to hire the people who are enabled to ensure that they get to the right outcomes, and so you need to enable them and move out of their way so that they can do the best work of their life at your company.
And like, I just want to go back to something actually very quick that's just coming to my mind. You said something earlier. You said something about, like, it was a quote that you said. So I can't remember how you said it, but you said in terms of the amount of people that you meet and then convert. But then I started to think about that also on a client acquisition side. So, like, are you saying the more people that you kind of put through, it gives you a higher chance to convert? Is that what you're saying?
So on recruitment, no, right? On recruitment, what I'm suggesting is that the process upfront should be so strong that the people that you're meeting, the chance of them converting is really, really high, right? So you're creating friction, like whatever that is, right? Whether that is an application assessment form, whether that is a problem solving test, whether that is an interview with HR, right? Like, whatever that is, right? Passing through that barrier and coming and meeting you need to be like, have passed through enough filters that the conversion ratio needs to be high, right? Like, it cannot be 10% success rate, right? Because that would mean that you need to meet 10 people to get one good person who can sort of like come through your company, right? So I would probably suggest that having that upfront friction really, really helps,
Okay,
right?
because
Like, yeah, it's counterintuitive, but yeah, I think that's how we're functioning.
yeah, okay, I love it. Okay, next word, scaling.
Growth.
Explain.
I guess when you scale, you get growth, right? Like, maybe that's the first word that came to me. Like, when I'm thinking of scaling, I always imagine growth. I imagine success. I imagine like all of these. Maybe the second word that comes to mind is processes, right? Like, so scaling and processes go in hand. Maybe growth is an outcome of that. So yeah, I was sort of thinking of that. Whenever you're thinking of scaling, you would definitely see a growth as an outcome.
Powerful. Resilience.
Resilience. Tough times.
Explain.
So, as I said, right, like, businesses go through ups and downs, through good times and tough times, and resilience is really built through tough times, right? When it's good times, I don't think it builds any resilience, right? Like, if it's sort of like happy times, everyone is enjoying themselves, your investors are very happy, your employees are very happy, right? Like, but the real test of character is when you go through tough times, and that is what really builds resilience.
I love it. Customer experience.
Customer experience, customer insights.
Explain.
So in terms of delivering on customer experience, you really need to understand customer insights, right? Really understand what your customers want. And a lot of the times, like I think this is very true, that your customers would not necessarily know what they want as well, right? Like, and so a lot of people give the example of Henry Ford, right? When he said that if I was to ask people what they want, they would say faster horses, right? When he was obviously revolutionizing the car industry. But if you go back like a few years, right? Like if you think of Airbnb and what they've done, who would have thought that we would let complete strangers into the privacy of our homes? Or Uber, right? Like who would have thought that we would get into the cars of complete strangers, right? Like yeah. So I think it's interesting how you need to act on insights. Now all of these companies acted on a certain insight, right? With Uber, the insight was that customers want convenience, right? Like which they probably did not know that the way they would get convenience is through getting in cars through strangers, right? With Airbnb, it was personalized experience, right? Like the whole concept was this, right? Like so this is also an insight, like if you're staying with locals, right? Like if you come to like most people when they go to countries and all, they really thrive on that local experience, right? And with Airbnb you get to interact with locals, right, who can give you the non-tourist traps, right, like the real flavor of the city, right? Like so that was a very key insight, right? Like so and if you look at how these companies were built initially, right, like of course when you scale things, things need to change and you need to evolve as a company. But yeah, those were some of the key insights that these companies acted on in early days.
Hmm. I love it. Integrity.
Honesty.
Explain.
So I think both of them go hand in hand, right? Like in terms of integrity and being honest. So I think sharing things openly and honestly when things are not going right probably builds integrity, right? So I think they go hand in hand, right? Like to sort of like have the courage to be honest during tough times probably builds integrity.
To be upfront about it. Cool. And then just to finish it off, I wanted to ask you, what's it like living in Dubai? I mean, you've lived in Australia, you've lived elsewhere. What's it like living in Dubai?
So the way I sell Dubai is that it's a society built on convenience, right? Like, and the example I give over here is that even for fuel, right? Like they have solved the problem by having an app whereby when you click on a button, fuel comes to you rather than you going and filling out fuel, right? So they've really focused on convenience. I think it's very convenient. It's very multicultural, right? The way they have built in a society whereby you've got so many different people from so many different countries living in peace and harmony, right? Like and sort of learning about each other's cultures, right? I think so. If I was to sort of share two words to describe Dubai, it would be very multicultural and extremely convenience based. I would say that to me is their value proposition, right? Like across other countries.
Love it. Uza, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show. This was really awesome. I think it was just such a technical session on business and how people can, really, learn from this. I think exactly like just hearing the product market fit that you guys have at Swap sounds genius. Again, I think it was perfect timing. I was having a conversation with someone and he was telling me about renting cars, how it's so convenient to do in Dubai. It's not like Australia where you have public transport. And so now to hear you and to see how you've built Swap and to turn it around from where it was has been awesome. So yeah, wanted to thank you. And any last piece of advice for any entrepreneurs out there who are building a business and who are maybe going through the downtimes in their business?
So I would just say that stick at it, right? Like be at it, give it your best, don't lose hope. Surround yourself with positive people who give you positive energy. That's the most important thing, right? Like in those tough times, because that shows the real character of people as well, right? Like when things are good, everyone is good. When things are bad, when you really see the true character of people. So surround yourself with people who are going to support you in tough times as well, and be at it, be successful, and you would make it, right? So and thank you so much for hosting me. I think really appreciate your time as well. I think it was a really good conversation. And sometimes when you go through these conversations, I think it makes you realize as well, right? Like in terms of what so to me, like it was reliving the 2 years of Swap, right? So thank you for that.
No worries, I get it because it's just like you're so in the trenches, you're so in the grind, you've been doing it. So I guess the conversation kind of it makes you reflect on what has happened, and which is sometimes good because it allows you to go forward. So yeah, I really appreciate it, and then looking forward to seeing what we can do in the future. So thank you so much, and have a happy holidays, and speak soon.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Hey, what's wrong? Bro, I'm stressed out. I'm running my business. I've got to serve my customers, but I need more customers coming in. I can't keep relying on word of mouth. Why don't you just use ETS Rabasha Media? Who? Well, with AI now, what they do is they go in, get your perfect clients, bring them in front of you. So all I got to do is run my business and he brings me opportunities. Think about it. You speak to 3,000 of your ideal customers, convert 1% of that 3,000, that's 30 people. 30 people in a room with you, can you convert that? Of course I'll close them. I'm good at what I do. I just don't have time to be going and looking for my perfect client. Focus on what you love doing and let them bring you customers. When you win, they win, commission, cha-ching. Sujira Rabasha, huh? Yeah, Sujira Rabasha. Go and Google them, man. Come on, take it to the bank.
If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to click here, and I'm sure you're gonna love that one.